Hello, my name is Owen and welcome to another weekly update. It was a week of progress, marching endlessly to our goal of completing as many books as possible within a reasonable time frame, right? So I've made decent progress on all three of the books that I'm reading. Probably least so on the audiobook I'm reading, 11/22/63 by Stephen King. As I said last week, I talked a little bit about like some of the issues I had with like getting into the book, whether because like of the setup period or because it's an audiobook. I got about 5% further in, which I think was like an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours in progress of that audiobook. I got 100 pages into my Malazan book, the next one, House of Chains, and I got like 100 pages in to Live Ship, Ship of Magic. Overall, for Live Ship so far, I'm really enjoying it. I just haven't had as much time as I wanted the past week to really get my teeth into it because I promised that I was going to finish that book really fast. So far, I have not been reading it very fast, but that's not because I'm reading and I get bored. It's just I haven't had time. But I really like the characters that are getting set up here. We got like Kenneth, like the pirate guy. We got like the family of like the live shipping introduced. It's all being very interesting and really hooking me into this world. And the thing that's very refreshing about Ship of Magic so far is I feel like for fantasy books, there's always this like introductory period where like a bunch of characters are being introduced and like you gotta like readjust your brain to all these new terms in this new world, and it's kind of exhausting sometimes, especially like because I'm reading two fantasy series at the same time. I'm like, oh, I gotta learn like another like continent, more character names, and like there was a lot of characters being introduced. I'm like, this is gonna be exhausting to try to like absorb all this new information. You gotta get through that like introductory period of a new fantasy series. But the thing that's really refreshing about this book is that they're all connected together. Like it would be like, oh, like there's this character and like, oh, another new character and he's like a merchant or whatever. But then it's like they introduce the connection, right? And it's a lot easier to like grasp an ensemble of characters. It's like, oh, well, this one's brother, and this one works for this one who's the daughter of the, you know what I mean? So it's like they're all connected so far, other than I think Kenneth is probably the least connected, like the Jack Sparrow type, but he's like, and he's interesting too because like he's your stereotypical on the surface like charismatic pirate, like, but he's kind of like a dastardly man, but he's got layers there, and he's probably my favorite character so far. But I'm really enjoying all of these characters, and like I said, I like how connected they all are. It helps me like really dive into this world, so I'm already invested in these characters, and I don't know where it's going to go yet because I'm really not that far into the book yet, but I am really enjoying it so far, so that's a good thing. As for things looking ahead for this week, probably Wednesday, maybe Friday, I'm going to finish my Memories of Ice in totality review. I was going to do both of them last week, but then I thought like that might be too much Malazan for me to record because that'd be like an hour worth of me talking incessantly about Malazan. But that'll be coming out this week. I'll record that this week. Then finally I could take these tabs out of this book because I need them for House of Chains, because I bought like literally like 12 packs of these little post-it notes because I use so many that like they run out using in the book. So I've started like reusing them, taking out the ones that I already read and like putting, it's ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous. But I'm gonna make that video this week. And speaking of my video on Friday, that one was pretty fun, if I dare so myself. I was tearing in to Bingtown a little bit. The map, and I had a rant about how I hate fantasy maps. That being said, Bingtown is an interesting place. Wouldn't want to go there in real life, but it's an interesting place. And I had a little bit of a rant, and it was all in good fun. And I think Fridays are turning into the videos where I stand, which is maybe because I have a lot of pent-up energy from the week, and I just can't let it go. So I need to stand and just let it all out verbally after a long work week. Am I right? After a long week of work, don't you want to just stand? Anyway, that was a fun video to make though. And I'm hoping like this week I can come up with an idea that'll be fun to talk about. Because I think the most fun videos for me to make, I'm discovering, are the ones where I kind of just like let loose. I don't have to like exert myself in that way, because I feel like there's some substance in those kind of videos, but I don't like have to, use tabs of Post-it notes and then write like a page of notes. You know what I mean? It's just not as fun. It's just not as fun. And in other words, I like the rhythm that we're at content-wise. I like these videos. I think they're probably my most fun to make is these weekly updates, just like recapping things. Because I feel like in the comments, I get a little bit more of a dialogue with you guys. I'm not necessarily being bombastic, but I get to throw a few quips in there. And then I like the rhythm of having one like in-depth story video where I actually get to like, tear apart a narrative a little bit, you know what I mean? And then one is just like a curveball, right? And I feel like I've been in a good rhythm, and this is kind of getting in the weeds, right? We're not really talking about weekly updates anymore. I feel like I've been getting in a rhythm of this channel, right? It's tough consistently making videos, especially when I feel like I need to come up with a good idea. And I'm sure like if any of you have like created videos before, it's like kind of draining. And especially like if I have a busy week, it feels like priorities shift and this kind of like shifts lower. But I feel like right now I'm in a space where it's not too taxing on me. And hopefully the videos are enjoyable enough that like, not that I'm putting less effort in, but it's just like the less taxing videos, hopefully like the amount of enjoyment that you guys get like equals it out. So like it's worth my time doing this. Basically what I'm saying is I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time, right? And maybe you are too. Maybe. What else do I want to talk about? Another thing is too, because I didn't really get that far, or one of the reasons why I didn't get that far in many of my books is because I've gotten really into a specific video game over the past week. It kind of became like a daily routine after I'd get home. After a long 9 to 5, I do my daily whatever I'm gonna do, and then I'd play a little bit of my PS5, which I got recently, like a couple months ago. I only have one game on it, and it's God of War Ragnarok. Didn't play any of the other God of War games, but the reason I want to talk about this is it's been a really, really long time since I played like a narrative-focused single-player game, and I'm really enjoying it. I think like this game's, and maybe it's more in line with the actual like Norse mythology, like, and because like Marvel is just like totally skewed it, but I think it's incredibly interesting, the story that they're creating, with the dynamic of like this Kratos character, and like I had to like watch like the summary of the old videos because it's just such interesting lore, and throwing this type of character, like this Spartan character, into like Norse mythology, and like the humor that's in this game, and mixing that with like the deep lore that's just established in Norse mythology. It's a very, very engaging story, and I wish that like, because obviously these video games are very popular, this is a very popular video game, but I wish there was a way to like encapsulate this story and give it to a bigger audience. Like I know they're making God of War into a TV show, but it's just like it doesn't feel the same, because like the pure unadulterated story, the performances, the acting, and just like the entertainment value of this game is like top tier fantasy stories that I've experienced in a long time. Because it's like, for those of you that don't know, like the Kratos is like this Spartan, and like the first couple games, like him killing like all like the Greek gods, right? Like he fights Zeus and he kills Zeus. And this one is like, they like rebooted the series a couple years ago, and they threw him into like Norse mythology. So it's kind of like, oh, he's gonna kill all like the Norse gods. That's like it most simplified, but it's really about like Kratos, the main character, like, and his son who's like growing into himself, and like he has his own destiny, and mixing that with like Norse mythology characters, and like just the few that I know, it's interesting to see these takes of the characters. Like I said, like there is comedy, right? Like one of my favorite performances in this game is Odin, and he's kind of got like this whole, because like if you know anything about Norse mythology, he's like a very powerful figure, and he's very like wise or whatever. But in this game, he's really framed as like the big bad. He's manipulative. He's a liar. He's just gonna use everybody to get what he wants, and he's gonna kill entire like races of creatures to get what he wants. So Kratos doesn't like him. All of Kratos' allies don't like him. They've all been scorned by him in one way or another. But then you meet Odin, and he's like, he's quippy, he's witty, he's kind of charming in like this like old man that's hilarious kind of way. And like it makes this dynamic, which is important to the character of Atreus, Kratos' son, and just makes this interesting narrative of like a back and forth, because they do a lot of like separating the father and son, having their own separate storylines that kind of like weave in and out of each other. And it's just great storytelling. Like if this was a book, I'd be totally immersed. And I'm pretty sure there are some God of War books, but like, it's just a really unique storytelling experience that I value so much more than the actual like gameplay. Because I feel like a lot of single player games, if you play a lot of video games, it's kind of repetitive in terms of like, oh, like you're in an open clearing. Okay, I bet some enemies are gonna jump out and I gotta press like the trigger for like 10 minutes. And there is a lot of that, and the gameplay is fun, but it does get repetitive in my eyes. But the story is so gripping that I find myself like playing this game way more than I normally play video games, which I think is pretty special. And I think there's a lot of games, especially coming out on PlayStation from what I've seen, that are really, really strong narrative-wise and really like solidify it as a storytelling like tour de force. You know what I mean? Like I know it's kind of like a old take now that like, oh, video games could be good stories, but it really has been blowing me away. And if any of you have a PS5 and haven't played this game, I highly recommend it, even if you're not a huge video game fan, because the story is just that good. Other than that, not much going on. Like I said, I'll be chugging away at these books, and they will be finished by the end of the month. Maybe not the audiobook because I've been slowing down a little bit, but things have been going great, guys. As always, let me know what you're reading. I've been adding a lot of stuff that you guys have been mentioning to my like TBR list because it's getting kind of short relatively. But as always, be sure to like and subscribe if you like the video, and thanks for sticking around.